Hi everyone, good evening and welcome to the analysis session. Today is Wednesday and it's not just another Wednesday, but from here the countdown has started and now we are left with exactly 50 days for the CLAT examination. Before I go ahead and start with the analysis, here's something which is very important. I'm sure most of you have already done this, but if you have not done yet, if you are still waiting for it for some reason, please be advised that the CLAT application deadline is 15th of October. So you are left with exactly 7 days from now onwards. So in case you have not filled the application form, please fill it, submit it. Don't wait for the last moment. If there could be a technical glitch or for whatever reasons, I'm sure you don't want to miss out. For this is for those who have not yet filled out. तो अगर अभी तक एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म सबमिट नहीं किया है, उसको किसी कारण से होल्ड पे रखा हुआ है, फिल करना शुरू भी नहीं किया है, या whatever the reason is, just ensure that in next 2 days you complete and submit the application form. If you have already filled in your particulars, then you must complete the payment procedure. That is very important. But there are a lot of students who are still confused for some reason. We got some queries, there are some issues, I want to understand NRI and all. I have covered all that in the form filling video when the form was released on the very first day. So you can go back to the videos, and from the month of July, you can see how the application form has to be filled. But please ensure that you complete it in next 2 days, and ensure every particular is checked twice before you make the submission of the application form. देखो form costly है, 4,000 rupees का है, पेरेंट्स का हार्ड एंड मनी है, तो उसको ध्यान में रखना है. और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि अगर कोई मिस्टेक होता है तो उस पर एडमिशन के चांसेस अफेक्ट हो सकते हैं. सो प्लीज इंश्योर. So take 2 days time, but don't wait for the last moment. So with that note, let us go ahead, look at the statistics for all India mock CLAT. So the last CLAT mock was all India mock CLAT, and this was the second mock CLAT of this year. Two more coming your way in the month of November. So first was already done in the month of July, and now we have done the second all India mock CLAT. While the exact statistics is yet to come out, because a lot of OMRs were on their way today actually, and they would be scanned tomorrow. But we have a very good sample to talk about. In fact, more than 1,100 students' records are already there. So that would be the basis of this session. So we'll look into that. So what we'll do is we'll look at the statistics and overview for each of the sections. So, but before that, I'll share the report for the top 100 students. That will give us an idea how people have fared in the examination in this particular mock, which was an all India mock open to non-sales students as well. We'll definitely look to understand attempts versus accuracy, how people have attempted each of the question, what has been the accuracy in each of the question. Are there questions which we should have avoided to ensure that there is no negative happening for me and I could have got better score? Because that's one important part of the strategy. You are not supposed to attempt every single question in the paper. That you must understand. A lot of students attempt every single question in the paper. They try to attempt 124 out of 124, which is not 120 out of 120, which is not advisable. Please understand, you have to also look at the accuracy. Merely increasing the attempt does not help. And finally, we'll look at the section plan for each of the what should be your action plan for next 50 days for each of the areas and overall. Okay, so let's go ahead and first look at the scores overview. Now, what happened in this particular mock? So I'm talking about the records of 1,115 students, which is a perfect sample to talk about. Well, initial records definitely talk about initial figures are about more than 4,500 students taking this mock, but all of them would be scanned by tomorrow itself actually, and then you'll be able to, for some who might not have seen the scores, hopefully by tomorrow evening you'll be able to see the scores. But if I look at the performance of the top 100 students for the records of 1,115 from that particular record, this is how they have performed in each of these sections on an average basis. So how this performance has been. So if you look at the reading comprehension section, the average score is around 18 marks. In the GK section, and which is a good score, I would say. The average is 23. Why I would say it's a good score? Because there was a passage which was about Forex, India's foreign exchange reserves, And I thought that this could be a big surprise element. While it was a surprise element for a lot of students, but they have managed to score in that section as well, and that will get reflected once I share the slide on the GK performance, how the attempts and accuracy has been actually. Legal reasoning, now students are definitely very much comfortable now. Logical reasoning on the expected lines, the average score stands around 16 marks, in fact, slightly higher than the 16 marks. Even in quantitative techniques, while the sets were tough this time, people have managed to get on an average a score of 7 out of 12, which is a wonderful performance to talk about actually, because this was a little bit time taking sets, the sets which were provided to you in the mock. And the idea was to ensure that you get used to a bit slight difficult one, because very important, because we don't know what exactly is going to happen on 1st of December. The first thing to understand is why I'm saying so, because the element of surprise is still there. One sample paper release which was not even a sample paper, another that was withdrawn, another sample paper release, which is again I would not qualify it as sample paper for some, because a sample paper gives us a clear picture about the paper actually. So just merely giving something about one particular section, something in a different format which is not even matching to the syllabus what has been given on the website, the official website, so I would not treat that personally as a sample paper. Sample paper, like all of you have seen already, isn't it? You have seen a lot of sample papers in your class 10th board examinations. You know that a sample paper is a complete paper like the actual paper actually, and gives us a good idea about what to expect. But here it is not the case. So that element of surprise is still there actually, so you have to be ready across different difficulty levels as well. Now overall, if you look at the overall score of the top 100 student, that stands around 89.78, which is definitely a wonderful score considering the difficulty level on an average about this particular mock. With that note, let us move ahead and just remember this figure. We are talking about the records, a sample size of 1115 students to begin with this analysis session. So let's look at the section wise overview, how you have performed in each of these sections. What has been the story over here? Now, of course, the general feedback was that the reading and logic were definitely difficult, and of course there were a couple of questions which were not couple, more than a couple actually. In fact, what we look at is any question which where the accuracy is up to 40%, 30%, then that question was definitely a difficult one. Anything which is beyond 40 and below 70, up to 70, that's medium difficulty level. And then anything which is above 70 definitely was an easy question, because most students have scored in that. So it was definitely an easy one. So here we had six definitely easy question. Now, why I was still surprised looking at the scores when I was doing the analysis of this particular score, because there are a lot of students who scored zero or a score up to 10 marks only, which is surprising actually, because then you have to understand that there is something wrong about how you are taking the test actually. If you are scoring in that range, so there is something wrong about. There are a lot of medium difficulty level questions here as well. Now, for those who might be joining, I'm repeating it once again. I have done this several times in the previous analysis session. The blue bars, when you look at the graphs, the blue bars represent the percentage of students who attempted this question. Now, what percentage? On what number? We are talking about total number of students over here, 1115, the size of which is available, the records which was available till today, 2 p.m. So, out of 1115 students, more than 90% of that lot actually attempted question number one, but you can see it is around 30% accuracy, which means of the 90 of these number of students who attempted the mock, only 30% managed to get it correct actually. And because it is 30%, definitely question number one, question number three, question number five were difficult from the first set out of six questions. If you look at the second set, the last question was definitely difficult. From the third set, first question was difficult. I believe third set was, yes, it is about the storyline which was given over there in the paper. 12 Angry Man is the name of the movie. So that was the plot from the movie actually, where discussions were happening actually in a courtroom drama. So that was the third passage all about actually. But it also had a couple of easy and couple of medium difficulty level questions out there. So The average, if you look at, is around 18 for the top 100 students. But anybody who has done anything above 16, consider yourself to have done a good performance in this particular paper as far as reading comprehension section is concerned. Now, those who fall in this range, you have to really understand this. Almost 3 and 3.8%, almost 4% of the student out of that 1115 students have scored in negative. Now, what is the reason you are scoring negative at this point of time? You are a better judge. Was it because you were not interested in taking this particular section for some reason? You got bored while writing the mock test. That can happen at times. Or probably you did not give enough time, you did not give enough thought while looking at the question. There could be multiple reasons, but almost 4% of you have scored in negative as far as this section is concerned. 4.6% even scored zero, which means they have not attempted, or probably they attempted few, but ultimately they ended up with a score of zero. The positive and the negative balanced it out actually. But then what was the surprising? While the section may definitely be termed medium difficulty, moderate difficult for sure, looking at the graph itself, and this is the graph which is your performance. This is a reflection of your performance that you need to understand. 58% students have scored around less than 10.25 to 10 marks actually. That is what is surprising. Because this is, you have been writing so marks. I'm not addressing for those who might have taken it for the first time, but then I believe a lot of you are almost, I would say 99% of you are already into the habit of taking the mocks. And it is not just about answering every question, it is also about the strategy, the art of attempting, the art of leaving the questions which you are unsure of. Now, if you are taking risk every time, telling, oh, I have to take that risk because my attempts was less, I think this is where the problem is also there actually. So you have to look at, you have to understand, you don't have much time now. We are talking about 50 days from here. Now, those who are in this, any of these bracket, whether you are scored in negative, the reasons are clear to you. Now you have to just understand that once that is clear, what what action you are going to take now, because this does not get repeated in future actually. You have to take that action. That is very, very important. Current affairs. First passage was about US elections and is going to be one of the important one. A new data set will definitely emerge in the month of November because the elections are scheduled on 5th of November. But there is a lot already around it actually. There's a lot happening around in US as far as the elections is concerned next month. So there are a lot happening around. And this is something which is important. Why important? You just, I'm sure all of you have seen the past year papers. The format was introduced in CLAT 2020, and in the very first year they had covered the elections in that US elections. Trump, there was a passage about Trump, and then Donald Trump, and then the kind of questions the passage had, that was the approach which was given this time actually. So we had a couple of questions related to the president of India, but that questions most of you have done well actually. In fact, last is definitely surprising. The last one, I believe, which was about the percentage, basically 50% of the valid poll plus one actually, how the majority is attained, how it is decided. Okay, so that was there actually. This was definitely slightly difficult, I would say, but a lot of you have done well over here. This was about James Madison, one of the founding fathers of the US Constitution, founding fathers of US actually, as you know him. Olympics continues to be one of the most important events. There's a lot of data to talk about, and I'm sure given the performance, if I look at, there are three easy questions which you people have reflected upon actually, and if you are attending such kind of questions, I'm sure you have got into the depth of it. So wonderful performance. Those who have got this passage, they have scored at least 4 out of 6. They are, consider yourself to have done well in this. BNSS, all of you are familiar with the Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, all those, you are definitely all the three laws actually. So performance definitely, yeah, little bit surprising over here in this. I would have expected everybody, because this is something which was quite easier actually. You would have already covered in your legal classes. So ये देखना बहुत important है, जहां पर ये जितने students को यहाँ पे accuracy hit हुआ है, then I think you need to go back, look at this laws, because they can figure even in the legal aptitude section, in the legal reasoning section. So you can't take your chances actually. That is something which is very, very important. Forest Reserve, as I mentioned in the beginning, wonderful performance. It was not so easy because I don't think everybody would have gone into reading about FDI and all. But this is something. And please remember, when you are analyzing this, please, and when you are working on the information, working on the data, remember this data changes actually. So this data changes. While the passage was talking about somewhere around $693 million, now it is above 700. So you have to be careful when you are looking at the actual statistics. So these are some kind of passages where you have to keep yourself updating, because a lot will happen eventually. Like in US elections, a lot will unfold on 5th, 6th, 7th of November. By the time the results are announced, there will be something new statistics emerging. Similarly, in forex reserves, new stats can always emerge. BRICS is something which is important from the Indian context, and as I've been telling earlier as well, it is all about the what the important treaties, the organizations, the international organizations, they are very, very important. So you cannot skip that actually. Very, very important. Nevertheless, let's look at the interesting part of the section. 5.1% have scored zero. Now, whether it is through negation of the positive scores, negative and positive balance them out. But what is surprising here is the GK section was not that difficult, with almost 33% students are scoring less than 10 marks. So those of you who are in this bracket, it's time to ramp up your game. GK is one of the most important sections. It carries a lot of weightage, 25% weightage in the paper. And this is a one section which helps you save time for the other section. And if you're not scoring here, that's a problematic area. So please understand, you need to work on this section, and those getting scores in negative, whatever your reasons was, best yeah, next time leave it. At least don't get a negative score. Zero looks far, far better, isn't it? I hope you will agree. While zero is not something I would like you to score, but that is far better than scoring in negative. Now, so please understand this. Those who are falling in any of the three ranges, you have to be really, really careful. You have to really ramp up your game, because in this kind of paper, in this kind of GK section, you cannot afford to score anything less than 15. Average is 23 for top 100, but I'm saying that even in the worst possible scenario, you cannot afford to score less than 15. That is one thing which I'm very clear about actually. Legal reasoning, yes, the game is already up. Couple of almost three questions which were on the tougher side, but current legal developments definitely getting covered actually. So we had passages on IT Act related in context of a web series. Criminal conspiracy, contract of guarantee was introduced, but nevertheless it was a doable one with couple of medium difficulty level questions. Yes, but still doable one actually. Code of Civil Procedure, CPC, and Audi Ultrim Partem were covered actually in this passage. But I think this students have found relatively easier. But despite this paper being so easier when it comes to legal reasoning, and legal is not that easy when I look at, but yes, now you have understood. Legal is something which most of you have been spending a lot of time actually. So now those who have become comfortable spend some time on the other sections as well, but don't neglect it altogether. Still, in this kind of paper, if I'm scoring anywhere around zero or less than zero, or maybe less than 10, 10 is too small a number for this particular section, but still I'm considering that if you're scoring anything less than 10 over here, then it's time you start worrying actually, because then this is not going to help. It is definitely not going to help. इससे कोई फायदा नहीं होने वाला है. You are just attempting the paper for the sake of the paper. Don't do it. Don't do it. Probably you need to brush up your concepts. Anyone who is in this range, you need to go back, look at your conceptual clarity. That is very, very important. Very important. I think you're falling behind the game. Whatever reason was there for you, you know it better. Please analyze, please start taking corrective steps. Otherwise, you'll definitely fall behind. Logical was tougher. There was nothing easy probably out there actually, except I would say still slightly there, but it's almost 70. So logic was definitely a section where you had few few difficult ones, but nothing that sort of easy actually, and which reflects on the scores as well. The average of top 100 is just around 16 marks, so which reflects on the score. So very important for you to understand. Now, when I look at the statistics, I just got reminded, when I'm looking at these kind of questions where accuracy is definitely getting it, probably my best strategy would be to leave those questions. And this is where I know most of you would have got confused between two options. That would have definitely happened over here. It's not just about the getting the context right, but sometimes it is also about getting confused about the two options. The ideal strategy would have been to leave this particular section. ये होना बहुत जरूरी था. तो कई बार हमें negatives को avoid करेंगे, we'll definitely get a good score. We lose 3-4 marks every time. There are a lot of students like you who lose 3-4 marks. If that gets avoided, still you'll be in a better position. That is very, very important. Not surprised, but yes, I'm really surprised for this. Zero is something which is not warranted. Negative is definitely not. But yes, this was not a very surprising one. It's okay in this kind of paper, slightly difficult side, but it's okay. But yes, though for these set of students, you are falling in these two ranges: 9.6 scoring zero, 3.8% scoring negative, less than zero. I mean, what are you doing actually? And if you are the student who has done this in all the sections, then of course you just went to write the mock for the sake of writing it. You are not there altogether actually. तो नहीं लिखो यार, वो 2 घंटे टाइम वेस्ट करने का क्या मतलब बनता है? You could have done something fruitful for yourself, isn't it? You went there, you did nothing, came out, scored a negative. What is this something which is making you happier? No. Mocks are still not a reflection of everything actually, but yes, if you keep on doing them, it reflects how closer you are to the actual cutoffs. वो मेहनत तो करना पड़ेगा ना, you can't avoid that. Yes, definitely tougher, but there are a lot of students. And I'm really happy. A lot of students are putting the effort, and they have got scores. So difficult तो आप लोगों ने definitely नहीं बोला, but मैं बोलता हूँ this set, the two sets were difficult. Calculation was required. First one was definitely a surprise. The books और bookshelves के बारे में था, वो तो definitely थोड़ा surprising था. But I think students, those who have understood the importance of QT, they have done well. Nothing difficult, everything medium difficulty level out here. So while initial analysis, when we mentors were discussing, we thought it's going to be difficult one. We thought while attempting the test ourselves that this is definitely going to be a difficult one. But you guys have shown us that no, now it is not difficult. We are there in QT. हमने पढ़ना शुरू कर दिया, हमने practice करना शुरू कर दिया है. So that's what this data reflects. Nothing on the red side actually. So that's really a good situation to be into actually. So very important for you to understand. But then देखते हैं what does the observation says. 56% of students did not attempt or got zero. But I know very few have got zero because positive and negative balance it out. Majority did not attempt it. Now, not attempting is not a solution unless you are going to get that 95, 96, 99 from the other four sections. That means out of 108 questions, you are going to get 100 marks, which means your accuracy is almost 99%, which could be your difficulty. It doesn't work for everybody else, actually. Everybody. So 57% here not attempting is something which is not at all advisable, not something which is going to help. So you have to definitely look into this. नेगेटिव वालों को तो सिर्फ इतना ही बोलूंगा, बॉस नेगेटिव कैसे आ सकता है, कंप्लीट नेगेटिव कैसे हो सकता है, क्वेश्चन एक आध गलत हो सकते हैं, बट वेयर देयर नो क्वेश्चंस व्हिच यू कुड नॉट हैव अटेम्प्टेड इन दिस पेपर, दिस इज समथिंग व्हिच आई डोंट एग्री टू. Then what are you preparing for? What are you preparing for? That's the question over here actually. So what should be your action plan given that we are left with 50 days only? It doesn't matter when did you start your preparation. Was it 2 years ago? Was it 1 year ago? 6 months ago? 2 months ago? Or today? Don't jump now to newer resources. Stop what you are using. Use whatever you have right now. Don't go for newer resources. And last time we spoke about this, again I'm speaking about this. Now one of the best resources you have in your fold for every section is the mock papers. Which mock papers? The ones which are coming up, the ones which you have already taken, which you have already solved, or you may have not attempted even in some cases for some reason, maybe half yearly and all. So your previous and upcoming mock papers are very, very important. Now, please understand they are now your best tool. Even if you start solving once again, you'll get a lot of idea as far as what concept to apply over there. So don't look out for new books, new resources. Just keep opening your previous mocks, practice once again. Applies very much to GK and quantitative techniques. No need to look at, but GK for it becomes very, very important because there are a lot of events you'll be covering still actually. So previous mocks become very, very important. Current affairs, definitely continue reading the newspaper. Don't stop at least till 20th of November. उसके पहले छूटना नहीं चाहिए for any reason. The newspaper reading definitely continues. Your marathons definitely continue, but mock papers बहुत ही important है, and keep writing the mocks now, upcoming mocks without anyone missing on any of the mocks. अब यहाँ से हर mock important होने वाला है. कैन यू अप योर गेम, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. देखो हाफ ईयरली एग्जाम्स हो गए, बोर्ड एग्जाम्स मार्च में होंगे, प्री बोर्ड दिसंबर में, क्लैट लिखने के बाद टेंशन लेंगे. नाउ इट्स टाइम. कैन यू स्पेंड 5-6 आवर्स एवरी डे? You have to make that routine. We can talk about it, but you have to make that routine. Please ensure next 50 days, can I look at spending 250 hours of my preparation at whatever stage I am in, whether I'm doing revision, whether I'm just starting with the whatever it is, nothing to worry about. Can I take it to 250 hours? That's what you should be looking forward to. ये बहुत important at this point of time. Anything which distracts you has to go out of your life at this point of time. Whether it is a friend, whoever it is, whatever it is, any distraction must be removed from your life at this point of time. Next 50 days, you have to work with a clear focus. You have to work with a clear goal. That is what is very, very important. इसके अलावा अभी कुछ नहीं करना है. इसके अलावा कुछ भी नहीं करना है. You have to nothing else to do. 50 days, 250 hours is your goal. That is very, very important. That is very, very important. So with that, we come to an end of the analysis session. A lot of mentors are not keeping well, actually. In fact, even I am suffering from cold, but I know you guys would be waiting over here. So, so we'll be back in action with the full strength, hopefully from next week, actually. Very, very easy. While writing, I felt it was easy, but the marks were reduced drastically. It was never an easy one, actually. So I think the assumption went wrong. Please understand. Whenever you are taking a test, whether it's an actual test, whether it's a mock paper, because mocks give you develop those habits, and this is for everyone I'm talking about. Please understand, when I look at CLAT paper, I don't look it as a paper which is about 120 minutes. I rather look at the paper as something around 116 minutes. Why? Because your filling of the OMR, your credentials, is within that 120 minutes itself, and that itself will take around 90 seconds. That will take, because you have to be careful. You cannot do any wrong as far as your question booklet number is concerned. You cannot do anything wrong as far as your application number is concerned. At least you can't do anything wrong over there. So you have to be careful. It means for those three credentials to be put up there, you will need 90 seconds. And you need another 90 to 120 seconds to flip through the paper to understand which section might require a change in my strategy. Maybe looking forward to spending a little bit more time. There could be one section which might seem to be lengthier, difficult. Anything is possible out there. So this first 2 minutes of flipping through the paper, understanding that becomes very, very important. उसके लिए क्या है कि वो investment है. I call that as an investment. Please understand that. The 2 minutes which you invest, then you make the plan how I'm going to approach the paper. So sometimes most of the time, you have to be flexible because there could be surprise element out there. So strategy is good, but some flexibility in terms of timings may be required. So this initial 2 minute of investment is going to be very, very handy. And I'm sure those who saw this, they would have realized what's coming as far as this mock is concerned. This is very, very important. ठीक है? तो इस चीज का ध्यान रखो. With that note, I'll close this session. But let me remind once again: anybody who is yet to submit the application form, please ensure you do it by Saturday itself. Don't wait for the Saturday. Second half से पहले papers application form CLAT का submit हो जाना चाहिए. Don't wait till 15, that we have time till 15. And anybody who's still to make the payment, your form is not considered complete unless you have made the payment. Please understand that. Please do it. Very, very important. I think day after tomorrow, consortium is also coming out with some session about time management and all. If you wish, do attend that. That you should definitely be doing. With that, we come to an end of this session. Thank you so much for joining us today evening, and Happy Dashera to each one of you, because we'll be meeting next Wednesday. I'll be definitely meeting next Wednesday with the other mentors. While Govind sir, Salik sir continue to take their sessions like usual. But we'll catch up next week. So till then, goodbye, all the best, and look forward to that goal, 250 hours in next 50 days. I think if you are able to do that, there's no one stopping you to get into the top Olympics. That's what you should be looking forward to. Thank you. Good night. Shubhratri.